If you're new or relatively new to investing in real estate, it's really important just to take action. There's only so much stuff you can learn from books and listening to people or talking to people, listening to podcasts. All that stuff is great, super valuable, and you should do it. But there's a certain level of knowledge you can only gain once your feet are in the fire, and you have to do it because your investment or finances depend on it. So in today's video, we're going to go through a whole list of things that you're going to learn once you take action and buy that property. Number one, paperwork. There's so much paperwork involved with real estate investing. Not only is it the purchase and the offer and all the stuff with purchasing the property, but there's the lease agreements, the lawyer stuff, the paralegal if you're going to get your lease designed by them. There's creating the lease, there's researching landlord tenant board. There's so much that you need to know that it's really hard to do and get that level of motivation when it's not actually happening in real. So when you do it, you learn all the paperwork. People who you hire, like accountants or lawyers or whatever, who we're going to talk about in a sec, they bring up issues that would never have been brought up on a podcast simply because it's too minor of a detail, or it's the minutia of the process that doesn't just make for good podcasts or books. The next one, tenants. Once you start actually dealing with your own tenants, meeting them, screening them, looking at their credit scores, sort of going through that background check, talking to other landlords, that's all stuff that gives you that sort of feeling about someone, gives you that bit of intuition about whether you think they'd work or not. Then, of course, you actually have them in there, you work with them over months or years, and you start to get a sense of, red flags and really good signs from a tenant. And you'll never really get that, understand that, and know that on that deeper level unless you actually do it. And it's really not that scary. We have tenants who are just wonderful. They pay 7 days early. Don't believe all the scary stories, as long as you screen them properly. The next one, the closing process. Whether it's closing the lease, getting the keys to the tenants, or just closing the deal, all of that are things that you're not really used to doing. It's not part of a regular close, especially if you maybe take on a property that already has tenants. There's going to be a whole different level of due diligence and paperwork and background and all that you're going to need. So going through that really gives you that perspective, and you learn, maybe this isn't as scary as I thought. And it really puts you down that path toward knowing what you need to know so you can do more and more and more, and again, build your wealth. The next one is tenancy rules and regulations. The landlord tenant board, although everyone talks about it as being very scary, they are very informative at the same time. If you go on their website, you can download the standard lease, especially in Ontario. You can hear and read about all the hearings and the forms you have to fill out. You can actually get on their website and watch over Zoom some of the trials or things that are happening, and sort of learn the process and see how they work and the kind of questions they ask, the paperwork you need, the proof, and all that kind of stuff. Unless you're actually in it though, those forms aren't necessarily as relevant. And if you sit there and you know that your process depends on you filling this form out correctly, you're probably going to be a lot more diligent and make sure you do it right. The next one, accounting. Once you start keeping track and bookkeeping and dealing with accountants and tax write-offs and interest payment write-offs and stuff like that, you're going to start seeing the way the pieces move in the whole game. So it's really, really important to actually do it so that you can start bookkeeping, get the rents from tenants, give receipts, file all the paperwork, have maybe a special credit card just for real estate investing. Your accountant will love you, believe me, and go through the process, over a year or two, to see how to bookkeep properly, what they're looking for, how to be on top of things. Super, super important. And it'll give you a lot more opportunity later on to write off the right things, to have proof of those write-offs and the receipts, and to set yourself up for the best financial outcome come tax season, because no matter what happens, it's coming and you need to be ready for it. The next one is the lawyer. When you're dealing with a lawyer for an investment purchase, there tends to be, sometimes, depending on the situation, extra layers that might not be involved in a regular primary residence purchase. So if there's currently tenants in there, they have to do certain checks and file different paperwork. There has to be extra levels of conditions on an offer. The lawyer and your realtor will guide you through all of that. But again, you're not going to get that guidance unless you're actually doing it. So you need to take action to learn all that stuff. The next one is rental rates. As you start posting your place on Kijiji, Facebook, or whatever, to get tenants to come in, you're going to learn a lot about what tenants are looking for, what they don't like, what rent you could charge, whether your city people tend to favor, plus utilities or inclusive, things like that. And you'll get a better feel for it. You'll also start to see that maybe at certain prices, you'll get not as many people, and you drop it down, and you'll start getting people maybe you don't want, and then maybe you got to put it back up a little bit and find that sweet spot. You're not going to get that knowledge without actually doing it. Take action, get in there and do it. The next one is building relationships. You really need to start networking as early as possible. It's never too early to start networking. You need to have an investor-friendly realtor. If you want to know why it's so important to have a realtor who works with investors and has their own properties, check out this video right here. An investor-friendly realtor will be able to tell you things like rents, after repair value, what streets to invest on, what neighborhoods are good, what kind of rent you can attract based on what kind of tenant you're looking for. It's really important to sort of get that foundational knowledge about where you want to invest, and a realtor can give you so much of that. Not to mention, you can leverage their power team to your power team and contractors and stuff like that. Speaking of contractors getting started, you start going through the process of interviewing people. No one's going to give you a quote on a job if you don't actually have a property. So without taking action and having that property, no one's going to waste their time making a quote, spending time maybe, coming to a property that you're just looking at, you haven't bought yet. There's a certain level of credibility that they want to see before they're going to waste their time, especially in a market where contractors are in such high demand. You need to have that level of credibility by showing them, look, I've taken action. This is an actual project I want you to quote on, and they're more likely to do so. And then you can start learning how much this costs versus that. Should I do a kitchen? Should I put pot lights? Should I, make 2 separate suites? And always get at least 3 quotes from contractors, because I think you'll be amazed the difference in not only the quality, but the price that people are willing to ask for to get the same job done. It can fluctuate big time, and you're never really going to know that unless you actually purchase the property, start contacting contractors, and getting actual quotes on actual properties. If you are serious about investing and you really want to get yourself going, there's no way around it. I'm sorry if this sounds scary. You just got to take action. You should do so in a smart way, with people around you who can help, like a realtor, contractors, lawyers. It's really important to get a good team around you, but at the end of the day, it's going to be you pulling that trigger and getting started, saying, okay, let's put the offer in and just sort of dive in. I promise you it's not that scary. If you need extra help, there's all kinds of podcasts and resources. Openbookinvestors.ca is a great place to start. We're here for you. We're excited for you. You can do it. Take action. Get started. I believe in you. If you found this video helpful, please click the like button below and subscribe to the Open Book Investors YouTube channel so you don't miss more videos like this one. More info and ways to get in touch are in the description below.